Alright everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be breaking down the John Deere Classic here, giving you guys the preview, the top picks and bets, the best values, and then also giving you guys a first look build for your DFS lineups. Let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so looking at the John Deere Classic, this is definitely more of a unique event just with where it takes place on the calendar year, taking place before the Open Championship each and every year. So it doesn't draw a lot of the big name players. And so when we kind of look at the past results, we are going to see a little bit more randomness sometimes with the winners. Now we do have Jordan Spieth in this field, who's playing it again, two-time winner at this event. I was there at the event in 2015 when he won. Actually, there's a picture of me, I got to find it, kind of cheering on his chip and eagle on 17, I think on Saturday's round. I got to retweet that. But, you know, I saw Zach Johnson win. I saw Steve Stricker win. This is an event that I've been to a decent amount of times, kind of know what to expect from it. But at the same time, we do get some random results. Michael Kim winning was definitely more random. Dylan Fratelli, a little bit more random. And then Lucas Glover, JT Poston, Seb Straka, not as random. But especially compared to last week, we should be expecting even more randomness. At the same time, last week kind of went as expected, a little bit hit or miss. Cameron Davis winning, obviously not a good outright bet. He just ended up winning. That randomness can happen. And I say it because when you look at it, guys, Davis Thompson, Aaron Rai, both predictable players in terms of potential to win. Then you also have Mingwoo Lee and Akshay. Like, really, more times than not, especially in those situations, one of those four players are going to win and not Cameron Davis, who's been terrible. Can that happen, though, this week at the John Deere Classic, where maybe someone like Michael Kim, who, you know, won with that being his only made cut that year? That can happen, yes. Okay. But at the same time, I kind of like this tournament a little bit more for predictability purposes for made cuts and whatnot than last week's tournament, where last week it was more, we know we're going to have a lot of random miscuts, but a lot of upside finishes as well. This week it should be a little bit more predictable. So I will say the nice thing about this event is that we know what to expect stat fit wise, like in terms of golfers that are successful at this tournament. We've seen it a bunch. You got to be good at ball striking. You got to be making some putts as well. That's been pretty evident. You do need to be scoring. We saw those winning scores, 20 under par consistently. That tells us this is an easy scoring event. We need to be targeting those golfers that are going to be making birdies. And so along with that, we do need to be looking at par 5 scoring. As always, guys, looking at strokes gain total, strokes gain differential, going to be looking at those stats as well. In terms of those top stat fits, we got Sam Stevens, Davis Thompson, Maverick McNeely, Jason Day, Mark Hubbard. Some of the same plays from last week we're going to be on this week as well. What's interesting about this event is course history is interesting because there are a lot of kind of random miscuts, a little bit due to the nature of the event, given the fact that this is a more high variance event because it's the easiest scoring event. You need to be scoring birdies. And so if you're not, you could miss the cut. At the same time, we can be targeting those golfers that do have that course experience, but you do see random miscuts mixed in there. Patton Kazire, we can see, you know, a 16th and 11th, and then last year miscut. Doug Gim, 26th, miscut 18th. Chaz Reavie, kind of same stuff. So that will occur, especially with those golfers that, let's be honest, they're playing in this event for a reason. So course history does matter, but at the same time, it's kind of the cherry on top this week. Now, we will be looking at recent form, and this is where it definitely gets interesting this week. You got Aaron Rai in the best recent form. I don't think that's shocking anyone. He's going to be the top pick in the 9-5 model again this week, so no shocks there, but we'll get into that. 7 straight make cuts, obviously runner-up finish last week. It felt like he was going to win really the whole time. And Cameron Davis did it again, guys. I kind of tweeted about that last week, that a couple of years ago, Cameron Davis beat, in a lucky fashion, Troy Merritt and Joaquin Niemann with a chip and eagle. And I wouldn't say he was lucky this week, but man, tilting there that he's beat me twice, and had 2 runner-up finishes now in 2 different years. A little bit painful there. I'm not a Cam Davis fan. Let's just put it that way now. Anyways, Aaron Rai, yes, best form in the field. Then you have Luke Clanton, who, you know, we've only seen twice now. Once at a major where he finished 41st and then 10th last week. It wouldn't be shocking for me to see either Neil Shipley or Luke Clanton win. It really wouldn't. Like these random kind of younger golfers that have been playing well, to like kind of put it all together. Shipley's been playing well the times we've seen him as well, so no shock that he's popping up in there. You got Seb Straka, who has been a little bit hit or miss, but that tells you the risk that we have in this field. Davis Thompson's going to be included in that as well. There are going to be some risky plays because there's not that many golfers that have a big made cut streak going on. And that's really, really the biggest concern this week, is that form is not the best And so that could lead to this tournament being harder to predict, but that's also going to lead to us potentially getting some really good values betting wise and or DFS wise. At the same time, I will say I do think that this week might be a little bit more straightforward, and I'll get into that in just a second. Let's look at specialist. So hopefully by now you guys know what the specialist data is. That's going to be looking at all the unique characteristics for that week's tournament and putting it into one data point. Now, I'm not adjusting for any sort of small sample size with this data. That is down on the back end when looking at the 9-to-5 model. So it's no shock that like Neil Shipley and Luke Gladden are two players that are popping in, especially after playing in, I don't want to say the Rocket Mortgage is an extremely similar event, but easy scoring event, kind of Midwest event. Like, sure, small sample size, it makes sense. But after that, we can look Aaron Rai, Seb Straka, Mark Harbour, Danny McCarthy, Davis Thompson, Maverick McNeely. A lot of the players that we're going to be on naturally are going to be popping up as well. So I do like that aspect of it. Let's go ahead and get into the top picks for this week, though. So the top plays for this week are going to be very similar to that of last week. We're looking at Aaron Rai, Maverick McNeely, and Davis Thompson. Aaron Rai is going to be someone that we just really can't avoid. Now, he is priced up appropriately this week. I was a little bit shocked at the pricing that we got last week on him, but this week it's going to be fair. It makes sense. Now, with Aaron Rai, the biggest concern is going to be his strokes gained putting, 61st in the field there, 40th in birdie or better percentage as well. We mentioned that last week. That was a concern last week. Need one more birdie out of him, and I do think he probably would have beat Davis in a playoff. A little bit unfortunate there, but he's still a good staff. It's still top 10 in the field, which really tells you the field that we have. Best in recent form. Doesn't have course experience. And I will mention, like Keith Mitchell last week, very strong play on paper last week. I mentioned my concern with him maybe potentially missing the cut, and he did. He missed the cut on the number, was the fact that he didn't have that course experience. That's a little thing that can add up. Maybe more in retrospect, we can look back on, oh, Aaron Rai had a bad week. That could be why. I'm not overly concerned about that, though. I think he's going to be someone that we can look at. And I do like the fact that, sure, he had the lead heading into the final round, but I don't really think he gave away that tournament. It's not going to be something that is mentally hindering him this week. So I think we're going to be good to go with him. In terms of putting him into a build, I do think he's going to be a good starting point again. Top play in the field, easy click. Now, he is tied with another player, which is going to be Maverick McNeely. Now, this could shock some people that Maverick McNeely is popping up, but I always tell people my data is looking at both safety and upside. And so, especially in this week where there's not going to be that many players that are going to give us some safety, he has made 14 out of 15 cuts, right? Like, he is someone that has made 5 straight cuts now. Also has a top 10 finish mixed in there, has played this tournament well, an 8th and an 18th place finish, really strong staffed across the board, 4th best in the field, top 10 specialist. Like, he really is a pretty desirable play. And given the fact that he has been playing better, I do like that. Now, he struggled in round 1 last week, and that's the big concern. He had 2 outlier rounds, if you will, a 73 and then a 66. That is honestly the case, though. That's why these golfers are playing in this event, because there's that lack of consistency. I still think he's going to be someone we're going out of our way to play. 2 top players in the 9-to-5 model, around 10K. That leaves us with about 7.5 on average. We can still make that work, and I'll show you guys that as the video progresses. But after that, we can jump on into Davis Thompson. I'm perfectly happy to go back to the well with him as well. Coming in off of 2 straight top 10 finishes, has course experience at this event as well. He's going to be a good stat fit. 48th in the field in strokes gained putting, 7th in birdie or better percentage, 11th in ball striking, and top 10 in par 5 scoring. Really across the board, Davis Thompson pops extremely well. And so I really don't mind the idea of just going, let's not mess around. Let's just go with the top 3 plays that we can get into our builds and roll with them. Now, I will say the reason why I'm not going with Sanjay, who ranks out 4th in the 3rd in the 9-to-5 model. 1, pricing. I don't like the fact that Sanjay is that much more expensive than Davis Thompson. But 2, Sanjay has been extremely hit or miss. I think Sanjay makes for a great outright bet, and I'll show you guys that in just a second. But at that number, I don't exactly, or at this pricing on DraftKings, I don't exactly like that. I don't exactly want to chase that because this game has been pretty hit or miss. 3rd, miscut. 8th, 9th, miscut. 4th, 12th. Yes, it can come together for him to win, but also this is an event where higher variance week. If he's not on his A game, he could struggle and miss the cut. So both are very probable, I would say, him winning or him missing the cut. And so just looking at it from a betting standpoint for all those golfers, I like the odds that we are getting. Sanjay M at 18-1 on most websites. I like that. You can get Davis Thompson at 28-1 on some sites like that. Aaron Rai, 22 to 1, down from the 40 to 1 for those two from last week, but still pretty strong. And then Maverick McNeely, 25 to 1. I like those bets that we are getting. Those are good odds bets. But I will say this is a week where I could see myself chasing a little bit more of some live bets. That is something I recommended Lucas Glover's year that he won. And then also last year as well with Seb Straka winning. So that could be a route to go. Betting wise, if you guys are someone that maybe only wants to do 5 outright bets and then maybe jump on some live ones potentially, I don't mind that route this week. You could do that. But after that, guys, it does get a little bit more difficult in terms of like dialing it down. Like Denny McCarthy, I could make a strong case for. Jason Day, I could make a strong case for. JT Poston, former winner, foul that went up with his 6th place finish last year. Really, strong play across the board. Keith Mitchell, yes, he missed the cut last week, but he is someone that, could potentially pull the Jaeger, where he's been someone we've been kind of looking at as an outright winner, as an outright bet that we want to be on, and he just hasn't done that. At the same time, form has been pretty solid this year. Maybe he finally puts it all together. Again, didn't have course experience last week. Not surprising that he missed the cut. These are all players I'm going to be on in GPPs. I will say one of the more interesting plays is going to be Sam Stevens, Sam Stevens is someone that, is going to have some missed cuts. And this is also kind of maybe why I'm a little bit struggling with Sanjay. We got a very similar play to Sanjay in Sam Stevens where, look at his recent form, a 10th, 14th, 71st, 10th, 62nd, 4th, 40th, 14th, like pretty good stuff from Sam Stevens. And if you look at it a little bit more dialed in, you're seeing one bad start mixed in there, or one bad round mixed in there in those missed cuts. So he is someone that obviously has been playing pretty well, like the start on the Korn Ferry Tour as well. He is someone that I think outright-wise makes sense, maybe a little bit too risky, like for main builds purposes in DFS, but someone you can certainly get to. And so that is my problem with that range, is I can make a case for all of them, as I could for Kevin Yu, Lucas Glover, and even Luke Clanton, who is popping up data-wise because it's a small sample size. Now, again, the data does adjust for small sample sizes, but that's kind of the issue with this week, is that, well, it's not a good field, and so it kind of gravitates a little bit more to someone that's probably more risky than what it's showing. Now, I will say Mark Hubbard is looking like a good play this week. A little bit concerned kind of about the form. He's been making a bunch of cuts in a row, hasn't missed a cut thus far this season. Does have really good course history here as well. 6th, 13th, 41st. Kind of like the fact that has been ascending as well, getting better each year here. Top 10 stat fit, really good par 5 scoring. Surprisingly not putting as well this year, but overall not too worried about that. It wouldn't be surprising to see him be someone that kind of refigures it out. He's been able to make cuts. This is kind of a good price day for him DFS wise. Perfectly happy to get there. Then after that, we do have Andrew Novak, who is really popping up this week as well. Does have course experience, making 2 straight cuts at this event. So we like that there from him. Key stat-wise, nothing really concerning, just solid across the board, top 45 or better in all the key stats that we're looking at in the field. Recent form-wise, pretty solid across the board as well. Pricing-wise, he does make a lot of sense, especially if you are someone that is doing a fair and balanced build. Look at that miscut at the Charles Schwab Challenge. Again, one bad round mixed in there. That's going to be the norm with everyone. But one miscut recently, we'll take that at this price tag. And given the fact that he's had 2 straight top 20 finishes, and let's face it, somewhat similar-ish events, I'm kind of okay with that, especially at this price tag. Top 15 play in the 9-to-5 model should be a good play for us. Neil Shipley is someone I am happy to get to. I'd actually much rather play Neil Shipley, I think, at his price tag than I would Clanton, but both of them are going to be strong plays. Both of them I mentioned. I might bet outright wise. I could see those guys making a splash. Michael Kim is a former winner at this event, but I will say this is the best he has looked heading into this event, so it wouldn't be surprising to see him have a good week. Jacob Bridgman is someone that probably is priced up a little bit too much this week, but it wouldn't be surprising to see him have a good week this week. Made the cut last week. 31st place finish out of him. 3 straight make cuts. Really strong stat fit. He is someone I don't mind. I think he's going to be someone that probably gets a little bit overlooked. But obviously, if we're doing a build like this where we have it more studs and duds, we're going to need to find some values. And I do think we are gaining a decent amount of good values. And so like Chandler Phillips is someone I could get to. Potentially Dylan Wu, I don't mind. Rico Hoye is someone that does pop up stat fit wise, in some of the key stats that we're looking at. So don't mind him. Hayden Springer, going to be more of the same there, popping up a little bit stat fit wise. Nick Hardy is someone we can get to. Zach Johnson, I do expect to play well and make the cut. I mean, the guy loves this event. This is a local event for him, basically, right? From Iowa, loves this track, always plays this. I don't get why they priced him this low, honestly. It does feel like we're getting a little bit of value out of a potential make cut from Zach Johnson. And he's been someone that hasn't been dominating this year, but he's been finding ways to make the cut. This is going to be a course and a tournament where he's very familiar, very comfortable on. I think he's a great value at that price tag. Pat and Kazire was something that I mentioned I thought was a strong kind of GPP play. A good top 20, top 30, top 40 bet, make cut bet, potential top 10 bet, only finished top 20 though. So happy with that, with how he's being valued. And I would still say he's probably a little bit too low given kind of the upside that he has. Of course, history-wise, miscut, 16th and 11th place finish. Like that there from Pat and Kazire. Key stat-wise, he does pop up in the scoring stats for the most part. 5th in birdie or better percentage, like that. Need him to make some putts, 77th in the field there, but pretty strong. And we have seen that upside. 20th, miscut, 10th, 24th, 28th, 23rd. So if we can get a top 30 finish out of him at this price tag, that is huge. And so for this kind of first look build that I'm giving you guys, and we'll run this against the 9-to-5 data as well, the lineup builder, I think that's a strong play. Then we also have Mr. Midwest, Troy Money Merritt. I haven't decided on the nickname. If you guys don't get what I'm referring to, probably a good time for the 9-to-5 plug here. Each week I do a write-up. You guys are probably familiar with this, hopefully. It's free. And in the write-up, I pretty much said, if he has another good week, we might have to change his nickname to Midwest Merritt instead of Troy Money Merritt. And this is also a good time to, I think, plug the promo code that I have going on the 9-to-5 website. So if you are looking to sign up for 9-to-5 for the first time, you can get 50% off. So that makes the membership $10, or it makes membership $5 from the original $10 that it is. This offer is going to be valid until next month, and it's only available for the first 200 people that sign up. So again, use promo code SUMMER to get 50% off for new members. But jumping back into it, guys, Troy Merritt does look like an appealing play, like he was last week, because, well, he is someone that presents a bunch of upside. Okay, I do think he is someone that got a little bit hurt by that weather on Sunday. I do think he probably finishes a little bit better if it's not windy, but he is someone that presents a lot of upside, obviously has those kind of Midwest ties. So if you guys aren't familiar with Troy Merritt, was born in Iowa, was raised in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, went to school in Minnesota for a year college-wise, and then transferred to Boise State. So lives in Idaho now, but he does have those ties to kind of the Midwest. This is an event that I'm a little bit surprised in he hasn't played in more throughout his career, because this should be a good event for him. It wouldn't be surprising to see him have another good week. He is someone that I like GPP-wise because he does hold that upside, and he is a little bit mispriced given that upside that he has. So he's someone I like as a play. And kind of for this sample build, I'm happy to put him into the build, just again, pricing-wise and kind of how we're going about it. It's just the play that makes sense here. And then I do want to point out Kevin Streelman, who also has a little bit of ties as well to this location. Born in Illinois, doesn't reside there anymore, resides in Arizona, went to college in North Carolina. But I do think that's probably why he plays in this event. He's finished 51st, 41st, and miscut, but really just decent across the board. Kind of expect him to make the cut. Data-wise, Day doesn't like him. 9-to-5 Mile doesn't like him. But, I think if we can get a make cut out of him at 6.6, I'd be happy to do that. And then one player that I might toy around with betting on as well was the guy that cost me a first-round lead earlier on this year, David Skins. He's been playing well. 17th, 21st, miscut, 20th, 48th, 11th, miscut, 7th. I mean, over his past 8 events, you can't really beat that for this field that we are getting. So I like that there from him. Going to be a top 20 stat fit as well. Now, he is someone course experience-wise, only one start here, which was 2 years ago. I do think it's worth noting that in that start, he was like +8 and then -7. So probably just had a bad day mixed in there and then had a really good day. Maybe he is someone that could be a sneaky first-round lead bet this week. We'll see. But a pretty good stat fit across the board. Top 42 or better in all the key stats we're looking at. Like that there from him. Just a good enough play at this price tag. So kind of first-look build-wise, I don't mind closing out this first-look build with him. Maybe a little bit too risky for some people, but the value that we're getting with Kazire, Merritt, and Skins, they are clearly a little bit too cheap given how they're projected to play, and that allows us to get up to those strong, good plays. Now, you might be saying, why not go fair and balanced if we are getting some, pretty good fair and balanced builds that we can make? And I would say that is a fair point. Like, you could go Clanton, who I don't mind. Kevin Yu, probably more of a GPP only play, but you could go Hubbard. I think Hubbard's a fine play. Poston, you can get in there. You could go Neil Shipley, who, again, I think just at that pricing, probably a little bit too cheap. I think he's a fine play. Novak, that's kind of an easier play to make. So you could easily make a good fair and balanced build as well, if that's what you guys want to do. But I do like that first build a little bit better. But let's go ahead and see what the 9-to-5 lineup builder is telling us to do as well. Now, I do want to say, guys, this week, I'm kind of okay with going with the blind luck Jordan Spieth move. He's not going to be any play that really pops up for anyone data-wise this week. If you're playing him, you're kind of just going, all right, Jordan, I know you can figure it out. That's why you're playing in this event. get those good vibes back. Like, he should probably be the favorite. Is he a safe play DFS wise? Is he someone you should be getting to DFS wise? Probably not. Is he someone you could potentially bet outright wise? I actually don't mind that idea. I think that's a fine idea. But DFS wise, I do still want some exposure to him. So I'm going to bump up his projection a little bit, but let's not go crazy with it. Like 10%, I'm probably going to be lower than the field. Let's do the proper settings here. We'll do 3 unique players, 30% max exposure. Again, if you guys have something that you like a little bit better that works, go for it. But let's just generate this and see what it's spitting out for us as the best lineup. Now, last week I will call out, it was giving us Clanton as one of the best plays to try to get him at 30%. I said, no, I don't want to do that. And what is something that I say a lot, my biggest mistakes each and every week are not trusting the data. And that's kind of what hurt me last week as well. So I will say, though, the one player that I don't want to be on that is still popping up is Ryo here. I don't feel the need to get to him really at all. Let's just bump him down to a max exposure of like 10%. Like, we can still get our exposure to him, but he is someone that's going to pop up in the first look build. I don't know if I see it that way. A better lineup, I think, would be McNeely, Clanton, Hubbard, Ben Griffin, Patrick Rogers, and Neil Shipley. So all pretty good plays there as well. And then just real quickly, I did want to show you guys what the best EV bets are right now. Davis Thompson looking at top 10 or top 20 bets. Points bet FanDuel there. Good bets there. SunJam, if you want to bet on him, a top 10 on points bet is going to be a little bit better there as well. Those are kind of the players that are being the most misvalued currently. So that's kind of some good expected value that you can get on their lines in comparison to all the other average sportsbook lines that are out there. And then again, what I'm looking at outright wise right now, Aaron Ryan, Maverick McNeely, Sunjay M, and Davis Thompson. I don't mind the idea of potentially doing Sam Stevens and potentially Luke Clanton as well. 50-1 on Bet365 or Bovada. I feel like that number should be a little bit better though. But that is going to be all for today's video. Again, just a reminder, if you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. If you guys want access to that weekly write-up, you can sign up by entering your email here. If you guys want to take advantage of the promo code that's going on right now and you guys have never signed up, use the promo code SUMMER to get access to the website for just $5 a month for your first month. Should make that clear. It's for your first month only. And this is what it'll look like just as an FYI. But that is going to be all for today's video. Thank you guys for being here. Good luck this week for the John Deere Classic. I may or may not be going there on Wednesday or Friday. Still trying to figure out if I'm going to be able to make that event. It is a slight drive, but I do want to go there if possible. 4th of July weekend though and whatnot. So gotta see what the plans are. If I can make it there, I will. So if you guys see me there, if you guys are someone that's attending the event, you can give a wave. I wouldn't mind that. So maybe I'll see you guys there. Maybe not. We'll see. I do want to go Wednesday to potentially get like a look at some players, maybe gain an edge there. We'll see. But that's going to be all. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.